this month, but somehow he plans to be away on Thursdays. But Lloyd has a varied background and a wealth of experience that he will be sharing with us today. Rodney knows him as the hair doctor. He is founder and owner of a mid-range full-family salon in Lafayette. He invented the razor burn-free shaving preparation, has developed 3 product lines, is chief provider of cosmetology continuing education for recertification for Ivy Tech State College of Indiana, co-founder of Team ICE, and a certified provider of cosmetology continuing education for Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. Lloyd's education has taken him from Bruno's Advanced School of Hair Design in Toronto, Canada. I don't think it has anything to do with Bruno's down here on the levee. To Indiana Barber College, to Versace Institute, to Maryland, where he learned cosmetic transdermal reconstruction, also teaching with Ivy Tech and Hillsdale College in Hillsdale, Michigan. Lloyd is a member of the International Barbers Union, National Cosmetology Association, Independent Salon Owners of America, Toastmasters Club 4564 in Lafayette, which Rodney, that's how he knows Lloyd. He has done a lot of work dealing with hair pieces and hair treatment for cancer patients, and Rodney has asked him to share some of his insights and stories with us, and he will provide an opportunity for questions at the end. Please help me welcome E. Lloyd Wells, the hair doctor.
Thank you, Mary Jo. I want to weigh in on, before I get started, I want to weigh in on my Houston situation. I have a son that lives in Humboldt, just outside of Houston. They're high and dry. But the one thing the media is not reporting, they have a line all the way around the parking lot waiting to get into Walmart. If you want to deal with that, that would be something to deal with, I think. Good afternoon. My name is E. Lloyd Wells. I'm a physiognomical engineer. I design etrocranial trichal prosthetics for the follicularly challenged. I earn my living by obfuscation. I hide ugliness. I find beauty where nobody knew it existed. I obfuscate. I package people. I'm commonly referred to in common parlance as a barber. My license says that I can practice barbering. I've been practicing for 55 years. I don't know when I'm actually going to get it. What I'd like to talk with you today about, though, is the need to make your business stand out with your competition. We do it in 2 different ways. First, let's consider the plight of someone losing their hair prematurely. And secondly, I want to talk about ways to make your name your most important asset. Ways to make your name stand out. I'd like you to meet Amy Brickner. Amy Brickner, when I met her, was 11 years old. She was in the 6th grade getting ready to go into junior high school. Her parents brought her to me because she was burdened with a condition called alopecia areata. If you don't know what that is, that's where the body's autoimmune system attacks its rapidly reproducing cells. All right, hair is made up of rapidly reproducing cells, and so she was losing her hair. Now, normally, that is a temporary situation. But in Emmy's case, it didn't seem to be so temporary. It seemed to be more permanent. You ladies and men who have been fathers of young ladies at that age understand that young girls cannot pass a mirror without checking themselves out, right? That's it's a human impossibility. You just can't do it. Okay. Major concern of all women. Hair is a major concern with all women. But to an adolescent who is going into puberty, it's everything. Absolutely everything. Especially if you don't have any hair. Amy's grades were in the toilet along with her attitude and her deportment. You know how cruel kids can be to other kids on the playground. Imagine yourself in Amy's situation. Her parents brought her in to me to see about getting a wig. They didn't make wigs for girls at that point in time. This was back in the late 70s. They did not make wigs for young girls at that time. So they had taken an adult wig and made it over, rather poorly I might add, and that wig would fall off of her head on the playground. You can imagine what that was doing to a young girl. Her parents asked me if insurance would pay for it. Normally they won't. But I thought, since Amy was under the care of a psychiatrist, I thought just maybe they might if he were to prescribe the wig. So he prescribed the wig. The insurance said, we don't buy wigs. So I told him to ask him to prescribe a prosthesis. And the insurance company said, not specific enough. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I called him and I said, I want you to prescribe an extracranial tracheal prosthesis for this young lady. And I added $500 to the bill and they bought it. That term never existed till that day. Amy went into the 7th grade and became a cheerleader. And her hair did just fine. I got a letter from Amy when she graduated from high school. She said she'd been a cheerleader all through junior high and high school. She had had the lead in the high school play all 4 years in high school and had graduated valedictorian of her class. And she was going to Central Michigan on a full academic scholarship. She said it was all because I gave her hair. You know, and I know, that Amy was always in there. The hair just let her shine. When I get to feeling low sometimes, I dig out that letter and I read it and it gives me purpose. When I see young people with this problem, my heart goes out to them. This condition can impede the emotional development of young men as well as young women. When an insurance company will provide a power chair for an obese person whose only problem is they overeat and they don't do any exercise, I mean pushbacks from the table. And the insurance company will provide a power chair for them, but they won't do anything about solving her problem without obfuscation of the facts. They will pay the psychiatrist for the treatments until the cows come home, but they won't pay for the cure. Aging men are expected to lose hair. Postmenopausal women generally have some excessive thinning. That's normal. That's normal. Disheartening, but normal. And it's not a health threat. For a developing child, it's another story. Will we ever see the common sense? Our government will direct an insurance company to fund the abortion of a perfectly healthy fetus. But to protect the mind of a developing young lady is too much to ask. When I see a man with a bald pate who has his hair closely cropped, he's comfortable with his appearance. Leave him alone. But when I see a young man wearing his hat inside and out, I know he's not confident in his appearance. I know that most men are conscientious about how they hide their baldness. But you tell me, Is it better to conceal your baldness with a properly constructed prosthesis or to wear your hat at the table? Which calls more attention to you? When I see men who say, you know, I can tell a hairpiece a mile away. I've never seen one that I couldn't tell. And that's my point exactly. You have never seen a good one. All you've ever seen are the failures. You're being exposed to the good ones all the time, and you don't even know it. Let's talk about your name for a minute. It's the most important thing you have, and it's something that you need to really take stock in and protect. I'm going to list a name of products and slogans and so forth. Now I want you to think on a national level, and I'm going to mention something and I'd like to hear your answer. What comes to mind when I say hamburger? Facial tissue. Roast beef. Pizza. Who's the king of beer? See the USA in your Chevrolet. If you don't come up with essentially the same names that everybody else does, you need to get out more. The number one name in hamburgers has been McDonald's for well over 40 years. The same thing holds true for roast beef, for Arby's, and Pizza Hut has held that position just as well. And the whole public has known for a long time. You see the USA in your Chevrolet. And Budweiser indeed is the king of beers. But do you think old Augie knew at the ripe old age of 15 that his name was going to be known worldwide? Do you think at the ripe old age of 15, I'm repeating myself, he made that name stand for something. He did. Do you think that Henry Ford Sr. would have thought he'd see his name on 1/3 of all the vehicles made in the United States? Don't think so. Who would have thought that Kleenex would become synonymous with facial tissue? Ask any kid who makes hamburgers, they can tell you. The list goes on and on. And none of those names would mean anything were it not for the people who originated and taking the responsibility for making that name stand for something. High standards of acceptance in their field. Every one of them worked hard to make their name a household word. Through time, they have come to hold that number one spot in the minds of the public. Pepsi-Cola would kill to be synonymous with soda. But that belongs to Coca-Cola. Most of us don't dream that our name could be well known. But then neither did any of these at the time when they started making it well known. The key to position yourself is to position yourself so that everything comes out in a good way. You do something easier than, better than, more than, sooner than, longer than, different than anyone else. In my case, I design hair replacement systems and I design products for hair care products that meet the ethnic and climatic conditions of our community. I can prove that I have products that are formulated to higher standards than anyone within a 100-mile radius. I can genuinely make the public claim that our salon cares more for your hair than any of my competition, and all you have to do to verify that is look on the ingredient list on the back of any product we offer. Some of the services I performed are exclusive to our salon for a 60-mile radius. The fact that I teach advanced classes in our fields lends to the credibility in the minds of our clients. We're no better than, no worse than, as stylists, than anyone else. But we do a lot of things differently, and we call attention to those differences. Perception is everything. Which is better, Ford or Chevrolet? Depends on who you ask. Yeah, depends on who you ask, doesn't it? And the minute you pose the question, someone says Chrysler, and nobody's wrong. Everybody has an opinion, and yours is just as valuable as the next one. Just as valuable as the next one. Since our products carry our salon name, our customers are reminded every time they use it who we are. Yes, we have good stylists, but the world is full of good stylists. If your clients are returning, you're a good stylist. And really, isn't that the definition of a good stylist? You need that something extra, though, to set yourself apart from your competitor. It could be the services you provide, the way you provide them, the products you offer, or a whole host of other things. Everything you do to get your name out sends a message. Sometimes it's the message you didn't want to send. If you do direct mail and you send out pieces that do not look like or are not professionally done, you're probably wasting your money. Your image is at stake every time you put your name on anything. Always present your name with class if you want that number one spot. Let's talk about some ways to get your name out there. Your business is no different than mine. And I apologize because Rodney didn't tell me the average age of this group when he asked me to speak. So I know most of us in the room are past that age. But that was the speech I prepared. Whether or not you own your business or you're an employee, makes no difference. It's to your advantage to take every opportunity to make that business stand tall. Your paycheck depends on it. You can get a lot of exposure by being active in your community and sending out press releases. If you belong to civic organizations such as Kiwanis and so forth, and you do projects that involve the community, as an individual or as a business, properly written news releases with pictures can put you in the limelight in a very beneficial way. If you or your staff attend educational events, you can send news releases to the newspaper, and they will usually insert them in the proper place in the paper. If you want a particular type of new client, get the articles placed, if possible, in the section that those people most likely read. Example, women tend to read living or local sections of the paper. Men tend to read business or sports sections of the paper. Your releases should tie into the section that you want them in. That was so yesterday. Today it's Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. Learn to exploit the media of the day. Tomorrow, who knows what it's going to be? And I mean literally tomorrow. It changes that fast. Consider the possibility of adopting or starting a charitable organization that is specific to your business. Make sure that every news agency is aware of what you're doing and how it impacts the community. Example, coats for kids, haircuts for group homes. Some time ago, I was very active in my local JC organization. As an officer of the JCs, I was often quoted in the media as an authority on JC projects. And because the media mainly knew where they could find me for a quick quote. And I was next door to the local radio station where they had guest speakers come in. And guest speakers don't always show up, do they? And so I became nearly a regular on that program talking about JC projects, hairstyling trends, or the salon itself. Wow. What a break. opportunities come along, and it's up to us to grab them when they do and take advantage of them. Doing hair shows for community clubs and colleges and fraternities can pay huge dividends. We used to be located in a small college town, we like to keep up with the latest trends in our industry, in hair fashion. And to do that, sometimes you have to go out for education or you have to bring educators in. At one point, we wanted to bring in a team of educators from Detroit, and we couldn't afford the $700 plus airfare plus lodging for the 2-day weekend. So we went to the bank and borrowed $1,000 for 30 days. We got yellow pages from the surrounding towns around us, and we sent invitations or flyers to everyone who had a larger display ad in the yellow pages. We charged $10 in advance or $15 at the door for a 1-day seminar. And we had 4 extra spaces in our salon, so we allowed four extra people to take a 1-day hands-on clinic with us in our salon for a mere $100. Well, 125 people answered that ad. That's $1,250. 4 people took those classes. That's $1,650. In addition to getting the training that we started out to get. There was no overhead because DePauw University Student Union is free if you use their cafeteria for lunch. And it is amazing how you can schedule things so they don't have a choice. To get models for that seminar, we announced at the quadrangle at dinner. That's the quadrangle at DePauw University is where all the freshman girls live. So we announced at dinner at the quadrangle that we were looking for 60 models for new hairstyles, free. Now, free is the magic word to a student, right? And we'd be interviewing for those positions on the week previous to when we were going to use them. We got 60 of the 360 freshman class. With that student contact at that time of the year, we increased our exposure to every sorority on campus dramatically by the spring of the next year. And one of the girls got the first wedge on campus, even before Dorothy Hamill had been in the Olympics. And it was an immediate hit. We had a photo shoot after that weekend, and I sent a picture of that girl then to Professional Men's Hairstylist magazine, explaining that college women were coming to the men's hairstylist to get their cuts because the hairdressers at the time were refusing to give up the shampoo and set. Not only was she selected as the style of the month, but the first female style of the month, she was on the cover of the magazine. As a contributing author to that magazine and the AMBBA, I received 35 to 40 copies every month of the magazine. I took one to the Delta Gamma house for the girl, and 2 to her house for their coffee table, and 2 to every sorority coffee table on campus. Within 2 months, I owned the DGs. On campus, our salon was the last word in hairstyling, male or female. For the next 3 years, ours was the official salon in every fraternity and sorority on campus. The best part was our competition paid us $650 to make it all happen. You couldn't possibly buy that much goodwill or that many new customers with an ad. Our name was all over the campus within a week. You ladies know how excited young girls can get with where new looks are involved. Think of how much excitement there must have been created with 60 girls in one living unit with 300 other girls, even before the event took place. Then go to get that many new hairstyles into that living unit was a bonus. Our book was full to capacity for the entire next year. The next year, it all started all over again when these girls went to their respective sororities. Did we plan it that way? No way. No, you couldn't plan that. It just happened. What we had set out to do was accomplish beyond everything that we could imagine. The rest was a huge bonus. I have tried to duplicate that scenario on numerous occasions, but can't quite make it happen. I've accomplished pieces of it. The point is to know the anatomy of your community, who lives there, what are their special needs, what are the annual events in that community where that community is involved, what special needs does your business have, what special talents live within the walls of your business. When tragedy happens, how do you respond? Remember the ice storm in 1991 when electricity was knocked out in all around us for weeks on end? Our salon had electricity, we had water, we had extra styling stations, and very few customers for several weeks there. We told the TV and radio stations and newspapers that people unable to perform these services on their own at home were welcome to use our salon free of charge until their services were restored at home. Let's see now. They learned where we were. They were grateful to get their needs met. And they were introduced to our brand of products. When I say our brand, I mean our brand. It's our name that's on the product. And the only place you can buy them is from us. I'm sure you've heard it said, problems are opportunities in disguise. And nothing could be further, or nothing could be truer. I don't think I've ever helped anybody but what I wasn't repaid in full with interest shortly after. Maybe not today, maybe not by the person that I helped, but because of that person, certainly not because I expected it, but it has a way of coming home to roost, doesn't it? You can't place a dollar value on that. Every opportunity to get your name in front of the public for a just cause puts you that much closer to being that number one spot. It makes your name remembered. A quote that I keep going back to is one by Zig Ziglar. You can have everything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. I think that bears repeating. You can have everything in life you want if you will help enough other people get what they want. I told you at the outset that I make my living by obfuscation. Let me clear up one obfuscation right now.
Thank you, Lloyd. Appreciate that. And Rodney had told me you did that at Postmasters once.
I did.
And, does anybody have any questions for Lloyd? Well, Lloyd, we appreciate your coming, and as a gift,
Thank you.
and hopefully one day, maybe you will join us as a member.
Yes.
Okay. Thank